Welcome to Boss Pod episode number 2, Musician or Mogul. Right here on Instagram Live, I have video conversations with creators, and we dive deep into their experience and advice to help other creatives out there and shed light on the inner workings of making art. Today, we're talking with 3 independent artists from Los Angeles who have created thriving brands in music. We are going to discuss how they push their music independently and what the process is like from songwriting to the marketing that goes behind the final product we see and hear. As an artist myself, I'm going to be asking the hard questions as we dive deep into the minds of these 3 boss babes, which they are. Hello, ladies. We're going to paint a better picture of what the day-to-day life looks like of becoming an artist. But before I invite our first artist, I want to talk briefly about my mission for Boss Pod. My journey started writing and singing and playing keyboards for other projects, but last year, April 2019, I started putting my own music out under my name and brand Shinova. I realized no one was going to make it magically appear. No one was going to come and just make my dreams come true. It's a good lesson to learn, especially in the entertainment industry, where it's set up with this hurry up and wait kind of mentality, and this audition culture where one role that you get could change the course of your career. Not to plug, but plug. I just announced my new song that I'm dropping May 15th called By Myself. And I wrote the song in December right before my US tour on my living room floor with my acoustic guitar. And in my mind, I was thinking, this is my breakup song with the LA mentality. I'm sure the boss is on the show. We're going to talk today and we'll be able to relate to this because they all live here in LA where this mentality is prevalent. But we're changing the game. So the past year of growing as an independent artist and becoming a one-woman operation, creating and running a business, I've learned so much and think there's a lot to be said about successful artists having to balance and learn that transition between the artist mind and being creative and the business mogul mind. I want to extend this idea over to the bosses we are talking to today and other creatives listening or watching. I hope our conversation today can open your mind in exploring what that might look for you, turning your passions into a business. Also, enlighten people who just appreciate art and don't really know what goes into being an artist and what that looks like. Because we live it, as artists, we live it every day, but it's not talked about enough, I feel. So that's what this show's about. If you like what you hear at the end of this episode and want to support the podcast, visit my Patreon, patreon.com/Shinova, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Shinova, where all Boss Pod episodes are uploaded. Also follow me on Instagram at Shinova Weirdo, where you can watch the podcast live every Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, and be a part of the conversation and chat. After this live recording, these episodes are then distributed as podcasts on all podcast outlets, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify, as well as the video version of this that I edit to YouTube. All right, let's get started. Our first guest is a singer-songwriter DJ, originally from India, where her talents were first discovered on the vocal hunt competition SS Music, and she continued on to be in the pop group S5. She also has sung in over 100 Indian films in multiple languages. She sang in multiple languages, which is insane, like 5 different languages. Now living in LA and pursuing her solo career, her sound is a unique blend of everything South Asian, with a urban flair. Her latest EP, Game Changer, is all of this and more, consisting of gorgeous neo-soul-esque lead vocals laced with edgy hip-hop influenced verses. She's already garnered a strong underground following for this unique sound and fierce energy. Please welcome Suvi. Hello, darling.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, beautiful. How are you doing today?
Good. A little groggy because I'm not a morning person, but I'm good.
Sorry about that. I know I'm not really either, so I don't know what I was thinking when I picked 11. So what's in the life of Suvi right now? What are you up to these days?
Well, I've been burying myself under my desk, trying to wire and rewire and trying to figure out this whole streaming thing. But it's been great because I'm learning a lot of things from Daniel, my friend Skip, like just trying to figure out the whole technical aspect of it, also with your help, which is where it all started.
And your husband is an audio engineer, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so you have a little help in that area. But guys, to fill you in, I reconnected with Suvi recently. She kind of found me on Twitch and was seeing what I was doing live streaming there. And she was like, is this the thing? Is this what I should be doing? Like, what, you know? And so I've been kind of guiding her and giving her some advice on getting started on her Twitch channel. So already I'm going to plug you. Go check out her Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Suvi Music. Is that right?
Yes, yes. That
Cool. Awesome. Well, I'm still here to help you. But as far as being an artist and what you're doing day to day, besides setting up the streaming thing, what's kind of the typical focus and where you're putting your energy with your brand?
Well, it's you're a one man machine, right? So you typically have to have all the skills. I'm sure you're aware of this. When I first moved out to LA, I came with this mentality of, oh, I'm a singer, I'm a songwriter. I just have to sing and songwrite, and everything else will be merry and beautiful around it. But quickly, I learned that that's not the case. You have to build your artistry and you have to invest so much in you yourself that everybody else wants to invest in you.
I've had a similar journey that you've had because we talked for a couple hours, like a really long time on the phone a couple weeks ago, and you were telling me your journey that you've sung in cover bands and you had some success in India, and then you came to LA and realized it's not the same world, it's not the same industry, and how to go about it here is very different. How do you feel coming from that place? What have you learned, and what does that look like? So for other artists listening, where should their mind start flipping to?
Well, I always tell people that if there's this inkling of a feeling for you to move somewhere to pursue your career to another level, you should go for it because it's easier said than done, I understand. But if you don't make that first step, you'll never know what you truly wanted. Like for me, I had all the success that I wanted in India, but I wasn't satisfied with the fact that I was not making my own music. Like when you're a playback singer, you're basically just providing a voice for a pre-scripted story and movie, and the actors lip sync and act to it. And I kept feeling like I was in a box the whole time. So for me, that boxed up feeling was bringing me down so much. And for someone who's in touch with their intuition and an empath and all of that, that was just making me go crazy. So the first step is, if you feel like you have something in you and you have to dislocate, figure it out. There are so many scholarships, there are so many like funds that's available. There are people you can do, like at this point there's fundraisers that you can tap into. There's so many things that you can do. It's not going to be easy. There are going to be days when you open the refrigerator, there's no food in there, but it's all part of the fun. You can definitely learn a lot from the humility that you get from that aspect will help you in your artistry. Everything that I went through in my life to be where I am here today taught me to be an artist, because when you're an artist, the true expression is what's most important, not expressing what somebody else wants to hear or wants to see, or what is pop culture. What you want to say is what is the most important. And I think that little aspect, especially for people from my part of the world, is kind of missing, because it's not their fault, because all we're seeing is Beyonce and Michael Jackson and all these huge stars on screen. There's no brown people representation. It's not up until right about maybe like a year or maybe 6 months ago, we've not had any representation. So for people from there who have always craved to like learn and go beyond what they can in that part of the world, I just say go for it. Take the leap. Prep yourself, make some plans. Don't just take the leap, but once you take the leap, just go for it. Go with the flow. And that mentality is a practice. You cannot be sitting back and thinking, oh, I don't have a gig today, I guess I'll just chill. No, you make your gigs.
You make it happen.
Yeah, you be that boss person that we are always talking about, and go get that thing out there. Put your brand out there. Always develop it.
Yeah, and now you said something that I do want to touch on because I think it's so important and not talked about. Everything that you've done, whether it was for your solo career specifically or not, led you to having this depth in who you are and depth in skill and depth in experience and knowledge for your solo career when that started being your focus. And I know as an artist myself, I have spent so many years regretting not starting sooner because I see where I'm at now and I'm like, oh my God, I'm a boss. Like, why didn't I just do this before? And it's like, I needed to have those experiences as an artist to grow and solidify my craft and who I am, and not to regret that because all of that was building to being the boss I am today. So it's something to realize, and that boss mentality and doing your own thing and creating your own business is not for everyone at every single time. You know, like if that's not where you're at in your journey, it's fine. You're learning, and that will either be your thing or it won't. You know, but it has to be organic. You also said something about your culture and how that plays into your music. Can you describe your music a little bit more to everybody listening?
Yeah, okay, so I'll tell you what. I grew up listening to Bollywood music from, all parts of India, and there's so much music in India that's you don't even have to like step out of our boundaries to access music, right? But obviously, when I grew up, for some reason there was an inkling of Western music in me, even though I had no exposure to it. And so I kind of like grew up listening to a lot of R&B and hip hop, but with a whole bunch of A.R. Rahman, who did music for Slumdog Millionaire. And I've even worked with him for many years before I moved out here. So like all of that experience, I guess in my DNA, my melodies are Indian, but my beats are hip hop and R&B, if that makes any sense. So when I came out here and I kept searching for that sound that I need to make so uniquely mine, in 2012, I would say 2000, yeah, I came across this amazing producer. His name is Swagger Bob, and we started working on my sound. And he was like, "Why are you singing American? Why are you doing that? You have such a beautiful accent. Why don't you sing that way, And I'm like, oh, nobody's ever told me that, Everybody's made fun of my accent, so I tried to like move it into what it is not. And as soon as I embraced it, and I was like, we say road instead of road, like we roll the R's a little bit. And when I started singing it that way, the whole tone became so wholesome, and I was so proud of making that sound in 2013. And now so many people are doing it, like that South Asian beats and hip hop and R&B vocals and things like that. It was not there when I started doing it. Like there's Raja Kumari now. There's a whole bunch of artists now who are doing it. But I was so proud of the way it came to be because my producer was so observant of the way I was. He tapped into who I was as an artist, and it eventually turned into the sound that I have today. And it took so long to
Yeah.
like really finish it. That's why time is everything, You can copy another artist and sing a song like Lady Gaga, then you might as well just keep doing covers, But for
Right.
you to like find that little spark in you, you have to dig deep, girl. Like
Yeah, and that's something interesting to mention too, like having a team and people around you that recognize your skills and your special secret sauce, because being self-aware as an artist is something you can learn. We're all trying to get more in touch with ourselves, but sometimes it's that one little thing that someone says, like a producer, that like changes the game in our minds because we're so in our own little world. Sometimes you need that outside perspective. So what is it? What's your process like working with producers? And because I know we were kind of talking about this, and you said that you are specific and you go in and you have a goal and you tweak things and say what you want. But where's that balance with then taking their feedback?
So first of all, now I don't have to say this anymore, but back in the day, I would go and say, I want 80% the world, like hip hop, R&B, kind of like what the world likes to listen to, and 20% my culture, my where I come from. Because I think if it's 50-50, it's too much, and if it's heavy towards the Western music, then it's too much. But the balance I found with 80-20 was perfect. And as soon as I say that, most producers get it. They're like, oh, cool, I get it. And then what I go in with is also my vocal ideas or my songwriting with a piano or just vocals, like a hook. Like there's a song that I have called Follow Me, Follow Me, Follow Me Now. Badana hand me the ground. It's so the whole Follow Me, Follow Me, Follow Me part came from an Indian rhythm, which is takida 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 tom, tarikita takida tom, and that's a very South Indian beat system that I put into words, and it was I was like, holy. Oh, I'm sorry. I know this is
You're
PG-13.
fine.
I'm sorry.
Pretty good.
It just sounded so perfect, you know? Like I was like, oh my God, this is what I need to be doing. So that's kind of like I go in with ideas and see what they have to give me, what they feel from it, and then develop from there. That's like my process.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And like, what would you say, something that with your music you've learned from working with other people? Like, do you recommend working with other people? Because I know that some situations people don't have anybody to work with. Like, what skills have you learned from that that people could apply by themselves in their bedrooms?
Well, first of all, go deep within yourself, you know, like find that sound. And if you can find words to describe that sound that's in your head, which will take you a while, I say write them down, make pointers, and then go back and start reading it. Because when you start reading and putting structure to an idea that's just in your head, when you get an opportunity to collab with people, you can immediately talk to them. You can't just be like, oh, it's in my head, but I don't know how to say it. Or you make the sound with your mouth if you're not an instrumentalist. You can, Michael Jackson did that all the time. He would sing bass lines with his mouth. You know what I'm saying? So nobody is really capped out with their potential that they have already. If you have music running here, you find your way to communicate with people. And once you start there, and if you're not an instrumentalist, I always recommend working with people who can help you, even if it's just a piano player or a guitar player, because vocals and any of these instruments just go so beautifully well together. But if you can collab, my end goal is to always keep working with people, because I believe in bringing the best to the table and putting it together. What's the point if you can't do it? You're not creating art, you know? Like I can sit in my bedroom and make music all day long every day, but I wanted to reflect more emotions that I wasn't able to tap into, and that might reflect to the audience who's listening to it even more so than just me emoting my expression, you know? So collaboration is everything for me.
Okay, good to know. Good to know, because I hear different perspectives on it, and I know that collabing has been cool for me, but I've also been growing in my roots of doing some things by myself, and I think that comes from having collaborated though. So it's a good skill. I want to talk about your songwriting too. I know that you're in the finals for the John Lennon competition. Do you want to tell them about what that is and how they can help you out?
Well, I mean, I sent that to you and I realized that if this is gonna happen after the voting is,
Oh, geez. Okay.
sorry, it's my bad. It's not. Thank you for like talking about it.
Yeah. Did you win?
I don't know yet, so that's what I
Oh,
want to say.
gosh.
Thank you to everybody who like came out and voted. I still wanted to talk about, which is great. Thank you, Nova, for like bringing that up, because I just have to say so many people came together and voted despite the fact I win or not. I'm still waiting to hear about it, but just the idea that everyone was out there supporting and rooting for, yeah, Suvi and all of that. I have like friends creating groups who are supporting, voting for
That's
me,
amazing.
which is awesome. And yeah, I just want to say thank you all for voting for me, and we're just waiting for the results at this point. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and do you know if they're still doing it? Can other artists apply for it? Is that something you think people should do? Like submitting their songs?
Definitely, like John Lennon, the songwriting contest is so helpful. It's definitely helped me set up my writing setup. Like I won the finale last year, not the grand finale, and I got so much equipment out of it. Like it was amazing. It came in the mail, and I was just setting it all up. But it definitely helped me with the starting package of, oh, okay, cool. This is what I need to like have a setup at home, you know? And I recommend everyone apply for it because
I left the link in the bio, guys.
yeah, it's jlsc.com.
I left their Instagram just because we're on Instagram. So yeah, the link will be there. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Suvi. You know I love you, girl. Best of luck to you. Everybody, please be sure to follow her on Instagram, and she's going to be starting Twitch soon, so keep looking out for that, y'all. Thanks, Suvi. Have a great rest of your day, sweetie. Thanks for your time.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Our next guest is a mega songwriting badass. Okay, her songs have been in Fox Medical Drama, The Residents, and Converse's collaboration with Miller Bobby Brown, and so many others. She's a total boss. She's also been on the business side of music, working in marketing and design for record labels such as Big Deal Music, and she's also been a talent scout for Benny Blanco's label Friends Keep Secrets. With an almost unbelievable amount of optimism. This girl is so crazy, amazing energy, and support towards artists around her. I've had the pleasure of being on the list of artists that she's worked with. This is Liz. Let's say hello to Liz Gavillet. I hope I say that right.
Hey!
Hey, sweetie, how's it going? Can you say your whole name for me, please? Because I butchered it.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. So my name is, hey, whoa, the lighting is insane here. Sorry. So my name is Liz Gavillet.
Gavillet. So it is
French. Yes.
Okay. I was like, oh God, do I pronounce the T? I don't know. I'm from Texas.
I know. It's insane. Sorry. Okay, perfect. We're good. How
good.
are you?
I'm doing great. You got pink hair right now, girl. I didn't know that.
Oh, I'm inspired by you, Queen Shinova. Yes.
Awesome. So what's quarantine been like for you? Are you keeping busy?
Yeah, I've just been writing a lot, reaching out to people, setting up like Zoom sessions and things like that. Just trying to keep busy and sane during this insane time. How about you?
Yeah, same. I'm bossing it out. I was on tour and my tour got abruptly canceled. So transitioning to that honestly wasn't that hard for me. Like the day I flew home, I was like, all right, I'm going to get home and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. So it's kind of been nice to have the time and the space to do it.
Right? Yeah, just to like recollect your thoughts and everything. So nice.
Yes. And have some time, because like the world is on pause. When can you say the world's on pause?
I know, right? That's what I was saying with my sisters. It's like really interesting to see LA on pause, like because we're just always creating. So it's going to be interesting too, seeing the type of work that's coming out, like songwriting. Like everyone's talking about distance right now and like wanting to hold people, but it's like you're going to see like a really interesting pattern, I think, when songs start coming out from quarantine. So it's really interesting and cool.
Yeah. So speaking of songs, I have had the pleasure to work with you, darling. You are just a total beacon of light. Like I've never felt like as an artist, it's hard to find people that are like so positive, especially in LA. Everybody's kind of like, they got their own thing going and whatever. You are just like, oh my God, I love you. You are a goddess of arts. I'm going to support you in every way that I can. And that energy just totally changes the dynamic, and that can change how a song goes. Can you explain a little bit of how your writing process is when you get in the room with an artist?
Yeah,
and yourself.
Oh, yeah. So definitely when just coming into a room and working with an artist, it's really like you're supposed to like read the room and stuff. Originally, when I had like no prior work to working with artists, I would be like a robot and be like, hey, and I didn't know how to move. And I think there's a real connection between being fluid and being upbeat and understanding like, okay, what exactly do we want to work on today during the session? What do we want to bring to the session? And I think every time there's something that's really beautiful that happens when you work with an artist. You're sharing a moment and like a connection with them that can be really intimate. It can be really just such an amazing experience to just be like, okay, cool, we're going to open up, we're going to have a real talk, we are going to get down to business and talk about heartbreak, love, confusion, like just everything that's been going on in your mind, and put it into a lyrical formatting of a song, which is just truly so special and just so amazing. Every day I'm like, how is this my job? This is so cool. It's so therapeutic. And it's just such a beautiful time to share a moment with someone and be like, damn, and hear the playback and be like, we made that. What? How? What? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for me and for everybody that I've worked with that I really vibe with, the session kind of turns into a therapy session. You know, you're really just spilling your guts and talking about something that's currently happening. How do you take that pure emotion and like experience, and how do you twist that into what you're calling a lyrical form?
So I think basically, honestly, it can happen at any time. A lot of times someone will just start talking about something that they're trying to discuss. I know my lighting is really messed up here. I'm so sorry about
You're
that.
good. You're
no
good.
idea what's going on. But a lot of the times an artist will be discussing something that they're going through. If it's heartbreak, they'll be like, you know, they said this, da 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 da. And this actually happened recently. A little while back, I wrote a song with someone named Vita Kari, and they were discussing leaving their ex leaving boxes of clouds that they were like making for an art show. And I was like, that's a really cool line. Like, that's just so abrupt and weird. Like,
Boxes of clouds.
she said, I left my clouds at his house, or he left his clouds at my house. And I was like, okay, no, yeah, we need to use that in a song. That's like very weird, and just like you can't really make that up lyrically. And those are the things that I always love looking for when writing a song, because it's something that's like that actually happened. And two, it's a little metaphorical and little like crazy and weird, but yeah, so I do definitely like picking from when someone's a
Conversation.
conversation is definitely key.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that if you hadn't, because you're one of the first people I've worked with that I think is just the most skilled at this. Like, I would just be spitballing, like saying random stuff, or like, you know how I am. I'm so ADD. Like, I'll just like go off on random stuff. And you have the ability to pick out the gold in just normal conversation, something that me as an artist in my own little head, I wouldn't even hear. Like, if someone said, oh my God, what'd you just say? That was so cool. I'd be like, I don't freaking know. So having someone like you in the room that hears it and can recognize it is so, so cool. How do you think that that's played into getting synced? Because I know that you have a lot of songs on TV and films and with artists. How does your specific style of writing, do you think, cater to this market?
Yeah, definitely. So writing sync music, there's a formula that kind of happens where, and I've like gone through listening to a bunch of sync music, and even to people that are trying to write for sync, really listen to the words that are being said lyrically in commercials, the music that's being played behind visuals for like commercials and like advertisements, just everything. So you want to keep that like a general, like lyrically, if you're writing for sync, you want to make that lyrically general, make it less personalized than you would if you were writing with and for an artist. And you want to make the lyrics approachable, where like you almost feel like when you're watching a visual like of a commercial or anything, it just goes really smoothly. You barely even notice the music. But if you do notice the music itself, then you're like, oh, okay, like, whoa, this really like makes an impact during the scene. I think definitely with sync, it's way more templated and more of like a mathematical structure, where you would just have to make sure that you're hitting specific points. But writing
So
for artists.
are you getting briefs then? Or
Yeah.
are you okay, so you haven't accidentally gotten something placed that was already written, or is that
Oh,
something too?
yeah. I've recently I actually did, and it was insane. It was truly just like, what? So my friend Mecca and I, and this guy named Crush, he's 16 years old. I found him originally when I was interning for Benny Blanco doing A&R for his record label. He's an insane, really amazing producer. We had been working together on a couple of songs. I was working on this song with him, and then I was like, I'm a little stuck on here. I want like a really dope artist to like top line on this and like co-write it with me. So I brought in my friend Mecca, who is an amazing artist, amazing songwriter, just so cool, so just like such a beam of light, truly. We just got in the room together, recorded it in her closet, sent it over to him. He lives in like Sweden, and this whole thing turned around within like 3 months. We got the track back, and we are like, whoa, this is so insane. This is so cool. Didn't think.
And that got placed in something?
Yeah, and we didn't think much of it, but we uploaded it to like the SPs and stuff, and then it got placed on The Resident for a mid-season finale for the episode Out for Blood. And we were like, what? And when you do get picked for these things, like they'll tell you, hey, like you're in a pot of like 3 other people that could possibly get into this episode, sign these things, make sure that you're like your percentages are right and everything like that, like little business things. But we were like, okay, this is insane that it's even hit this level. We were like, what is going on? And then when we got the news that it hit, we were like, oh my God. I was just like, what? It's the craziest feeling, like seeing your work on TV.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
Where did you say that you were submitting it to, just for other artists that want to submit for syncing, where they can go?
So my friend Mecca, like her mother like works sometimes like in sync music and things like that. So her mom had heard the song and was like, this is insane. And she put it up on her Instagram, and someone who follows her mom like saw it and was like, whoa. And I guess that they found it and they were like, this actually would work really well in this. So it was just insane. We were like, oh, what? I'm just still in awe all the time when I'm like, that actually happened. I remember the day it happened, I was just crying. My cheeks were like, just like so chubby, and like my eyes are red, and I was like, it looked.
That's amazing. And when those little miracles happen, because they don't always happen to everybody, it's just the best feeling in the world. And I'm so happy for you. You totally deserve it. And the artists that you work with, totally happy for them. What would you say for an artist that isn't in the position to have connections like that and to get the little miracle moments? What are some artists that you're working with doing to become successful? What are they doing to have success, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, so honestly, collaboration. Before I had even set foot kind of really going in and writing with people, I knew that collaboration, definitely what Suvi mentioned, the woman before I hopped on, she mentioned collaboration being the key thing for everything, making it a wonderful like track, or if it's a production, you just need to collaborate with people. People are around you and people want to create. Never be afraid to reach out to. Always go in being like, look, I want to collaborate on something. Like, I want to do something baller. Reach out to everyone you know. Reach out to the people that you love, because honestly, like, you'll be surprised who wants to work with you. Like, seriously, like, do not hold back. Like, seriously, I think collaboration is the key to success. And I mean, definitely wouldn't be here if it weren't for collaborating with other artists, reaching out, not being afraid. And I always think back too of this Rihanna quote, this is what you came for. Like go the full like 100 and just be like, I am a baller. I am a slayer. Like, this is what I do. Like, come through, get like the baddest group of like amazing iconic artists and just go full in and work with them and schedule your sessions, be your own manager, be your own boss, just go in, because honestly, that's what's important during the day. Like, to go in and make sure that you're doing what you love to do with other people that love to do it. So that's definitely what I would say.
That's amazing. And that you're keeping that going during this time on Zoom is amazing. I'm so happy for you. Is there anything that you want to promote or push? I know you have a song that came out semi recently. Do you have anything you want people to follow you on?
Yeah, I think my Instagram, Liz Gavillet, I upload like my co-writes that are coming out one by one. And then I'm doing an artist project right now. I've had like 1,000 over like the period of my life, but right now it's Liz G. I'm doing more hyper pop stuff, more like Charlie XCX, 100 Gex style things. But yeah, so that would be those kind of two things. Thank you so
Amazing.
much
I
for
love it.
having me.
Of course. You're a boss. You're one of the biggest bosses I know. I don't even know.
Oh my
You're
God.
I was like, no brainer for you. So
You are a queen. Seriously, honestly. Nova is a freaking boss. I adore you. Love everything that you do. Everything that you do is on point. Like, seriously, you're one of like the all-star artists that I've like come across. I'm like, you're insane. You're just so awesome, so driven, so passionate, and so 100% in it.
stop it.
You're doomed for success, and you've been successful. Yes.
Thank you, sweetie. I appreciate you. And thank you for your time and advice and sharing your 2 cents. I love you.
Love you too. All right.
Have a good rest of your
Bye.
day. Bye.
You too.
Awesome. Oh, I love that girl. We have our last guest, and there's only like 18 minutes left until Instagram's going to cut me off. So I'm just going to go straight into introducing her because she's an all-star artist, if I can say so myself. I've always admired this girl's work ethic and entrepreneurship. She's made her own route and created her own rules on her musical journey. In a short time, her talent and ambition has blown open many doors to performing in LA at legendary venues such as the Troubadour and the Echo, and she's had extended US and European tours. She's been named Best LA Pop Artist by LA Weekly, and her new song, Kerosene, is out now, about a relationship that left her in wreckage, but is also very parallel to the state of the world right now. Please welcome the gorgeous, amazing Fiona Gray.
Hi, how are you?
Oh my God, we got all the colored hair. I love it.
Colors. How are you, love?
I'm doing so good. Are you doing okay in quarantine?
Honestly, I feel like I'm used to this new normal now, and I'm starting to regret, like I'm starting to like get antsy, but like still a little more calm than I was like the first month. I'm good. I'm trying to create and still, I mean, I'm still working like a ton. So I'm thankful to be busy. I don't have any boring moments. So
I didn't expect anything less from you because I know you have that entrepreneurship mentality, and that was the first thing that I loved and appreciated about you. How I met you, kind of, or when I met you, you were doing one of your few first of your backyard events. Is it Valley something?
the Valley Doll Festival.
Valley Doll. I love it. Just your branding and your ideas are so cool.
Thank you. Yeah, no, that was, I mean, I've been making music for such a long time, and I felt this need for the Valley Doll Festival was something I started in 2018, and it was all about taking out kind of like that separation and the kind of LA-ness of shows and just kind of bring it back to, I think, my Midwestern roots. And it became way bigger than I honestly ever expected it to be. I'm really sad that I'm still trying to find ways that we can bring it back this summer in like a safe way. But it was amazing. I mean, we were pulling in like in a full day, like 400, 500 people coming through, and all the money was split by the artists, and it was in my backyard, and we filmed it, and I would grill food. Like it was fun. So
I remember that you were
how
in
we
your
met.
swimsuit. You were in your swimsuit flipping burgers over by the grill. I'm like,
I
this
made
girl is
some
amazing.
vegan burgers.
Vegan burgers. I remember you gave me one. I remember that was very kind of you to have that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love how you bring people together and you support other strong female artists. You're from Chicago. coming to LA, what is that like? Because the culture here is very different.
Well, yeah, I had pretty much had split custody between Chicago and LA, so I felt like I always like I moved to LA and started the split custody when I was about like 6 years old. So I feel very comfortable in LA, but I feel thankful for Chicago as being a place where I can soak up all this like kind of creative energy and then go to Chicago and like spew songs out. But they're both very different worlds and they both have very different music industries. And I've always found it interesting finding a way to kind of incorporate both the mentalities of both music industries. And yeah, I started living alone when I was 17 and I released my first record when I was 16 independently, funded it myself. And I've kind of like gone anti-LA. And I think that's kind of because of my Chicago roots, where I've not been about, maybe I'm kind of different than the other artists. I wouldn't say collaboration first. I wouldn't say, I would say kind of finding and discovering your own sound for yourself and then bringing in collaboration. And so I kind of started in that kind of more rock and roll mentality of self-discovery and like, I would say quantity over quality, where you just write songs and you're not, that's more the Chicago way, where it's not like, I need to write a hit, I need to do this. It's like, just write a song and write a lot of them. So I think that, so I kind of had, I think that's kind of how Chicago and LA formed my sound.
Preach, girl. I love everything you just said. I understand the collaboration thing and where those girls come from. I think they're both true, but I find a lot of truth in where I kind of live and what you're talking about, and the self-discovery of that. And honestly, being in LA and people not really giving a crap about you, like you kind of just have to figure it out yourself a little bit, right?
I think it's easy to fall, and I think it's easy to fall in the sound that people want you to be making, versus, and mind you, like this isn't in any way like, I'm not going to judge other people's experiences, but for me, it was about, you know, before I knew the music I wanted to make, how could I go in a room and express in front of, two other people the sound that I was, until I could be like, yo, this is what I do. And if we're going to write, like, I'm not going to crank out, a top 40 song that's, heavy synth, no real instruments, because I won't release it. And it's going to be great if we want to pitch it to somebody else. But if we're writing for me, it's just not truthful. So,
and I think maybe these girls have gotten lucky finding producers that they can sit down and create something new with.
Yeah.
But it's hard to find that. And I think those are special instances that you find people you click with so much.
Yeah. And it's just a different artist journey. But I do really recommend, if you're just breaking out, to just write, and you don't have to love it all, but just finish songs, and you don't even have to play them for anyone, but just write and finish songs. Read, like, before you go in the room with anyone, read Passman's How to Make It in the Music Business. Everything you need to know about the music business. Read it. Yeah. Just save, from 17 to 20, what I spent on lawyer fees is insane. And I read the book. So read it, know what you're going in the room, know what your splits are, know what your points are, know all of these things. Don't be wide-eyed and green, because you're gonna go in debt.
Yes. And I had that experience. I've had some interesting situations where I've been a little too eager, because I'm the kind of person, and I think most artists are, that they put the art before themselves and they don't think about, oh, well, I want to make money on this. And it's like, it's not even about that, but you do have to think about the business side of things before you start working with people. So I love that.
100%. And I want to piggyback on that and say, there are two different worlds. There's business and there's personal, and they're so different. I love people that I would never get into business with, and you can't get emotional when you're negotiating a contract, you can't be thinking about happy hour. You can't be thinking about wanting to hang out with that person. It's just facts. It's just 6A is not going to work. So can we renegotiate this or can we not? But like, I'm still going to be your homie, even though we can't agree on a contract. And I feel like that is probably my biggest pet peeve, is like artists who don't, can't separate those two worlds.
Yeah, because it can get, I mean, art, when you're creating art with people, it can intertwine, and like you're talking about personal things, like I was talking with Liz, like, or Suvi too, when you're in a session and you're pouring your heart out, it is like a therapy session, and there is a personal aspect to it. But I love your advice. I think so many artists need to learn that, especially here in LA. I think it's a total hack, what you just said, and a mindset that can change how the dynamics between artists and producers are working together here.
And you can be more freely creative if you aren't worried. Like,
yeah, it's so true.
Like, if you're not like, oh shoot, like, what's gonna happen when we leave this room? Oh no, we didn't figure something out before we started this, and now we love this song, and guess what? It's not gonna get released. Like, that is it's like it's a baby, and it's like you'd rather make that contract before you're like giving the baby up for adoption. Like,
no, it's so true. I was just thinking that the other day because I was having to text a producer that I worked on my first song with, and it's like, you don't realize how that person's going to be in your life forever because the song is out in the world and there's things that happen with it. I want to talk about too, what you're doing right now, what your everyday looks like, because I don't think a lot of people know what that looks like for an artist, and where you're putting your focus right now that you feel is putting you ahead of so many artists that are trying to do this in LA.
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't know this about me, and it's something that I don't really publicly share, but I have a social media and marketing business. So I have, for the past 7 years, run campaigns and done social media strategy and brand development for, musicians, but also TV shows on TV networks, influencers, like a whole range of, artists and creatives and businesses. And this is a very busy time for anyone in the online world. And how my kind of quiet realization that I had is I always kept these two worlds separate, and I'm realizing I do the same things with my music that I do with all these clients, and I'm in the midst of kind of combining the worlds and creating more of a public element to this business that is actually combining my music under this marketing business that has legs. I mean, I have, I've had over 20 clients for the past 7 years. Like, it's not some, new business. So within that, it's, sadly, it's less creative time. I'm really fighting to get the creative time in. It's more. Kerosene came out. Emma says the Kerosene music video is coming out this coming week, which is just a beautiful, it's one of my favorite music videos, shot during the wildflower season last year, but in the midst of the Malibu fires. So it's half burnt trees, half really vibrant flowers.
Oh, cool.
So that's coming out. And so I'm just trying to do a better job of balancing my marketing and management for other people, and also Super Bloom. Yes, that's what it's called. And also, the thousands of emails that I write. I haven't had a publicist and for this campaign, because truthfully, I wanted to fully do it myself. And so I've, me with like the help of a friend, like we've sent out, over 700, emails to different people. And there's a lot that you don't see of, like, that one little article. I probably followed up 3 times and sent my press release and made sure everything was, there's so much business elements. And also I'm doing an EP kind of virtually right now that we're finishing up. So it's just like balance craziness.
Do you sleep?
I'm actually like a big sleep advocate. I feel like if
good.
you don't, I feel like if you're not getting 8 hours, like you're cutting years from having a successful career.
Your brain doesn't work when you're sleepy. Like I couldn't sleep a little bit one of the other nights, and I was trying to work, and it's like, I'm not as productive. So what's even the point?
Honestly, I'll work 10 straight hours, but I'll sleep like a good solid 8.5.
Good.
I'm all about
So
that.
happy to hear that you're taking care of yourself, because I have the same thing. Like, I find myself being boss lady too much, and I'm like, oh my God, when have I just sat down and written a song? Like, it can be
It's
very
so much.
consuming.
Yeah.
And when you have that mind, it's very beneficial, but it sucks a lot of time.
Yeah, and I'm so inspired. I mean, I'm truthfully so inspired by the ways in which you have, like, I love how artists can deal with, like, or not deal with, but like work through transitions in life, and brands evolving and changing, and also it's that everyday what am I doing mentality that, like, it is a long game. And I had this maybe, and I know I'm looking at the clock as well, but we are all fighting and working, and the end of the day, it's like, who is gonna be able to keep doing this? Like,
Yep.
and that's a really sad truth, but it's like, okay, it's the balance of, like, how are you gonna continue to make records and not be a starving artist and create a foundation where you have a happy life and you're creating art and you're doing those things. Like, that's the real game. It's staying on the horse.
Yep. Yeah. And whatever that looks like for your life to make that manageable,
Yeah.
more power to you. Because, like, for me, I don't really have a social life. I'm a little bit of an introvert. I have friends online that I talk to, and especially now in quarantine, I'm thankful for that. But I'm just the kind of person that I love what I do so freaking much. I'm happier working all the time. I don't want to watch a movie at night. I want to do something creative, So for me, that's my balance. And I think for you, I feel like you spend a lot of your time working. But that could be different for someone. And life can feed into what you do for art too. So it's all everybody's own experience.
It's
And I love
everybody's,
that.
and again, like, back to collaboration, is like, there's no right way. There's the right way for you, and it's your job to figure that out and to continue. That's all it is.
Oh, preach, girl. I love it. And we have to end it at that. I could talk to you forever. Let's talk, okay?
Okay. Bye, love.
Thanks for being on my show.
Have a
Bye,
good
you
one.
too.
Thanks so much.
Bye, Fiona. Oh my God, what a doll. Oh, I love her. I love all the 3 girls that we had today. To support them, I'm going to leave in the show notes, if you're listening to this in podcast form, all their social media and where you can listen and support their music. You can also, if you're watching on YouTube, it'll be in the description. Cool. So to wrap up this second episode of Boss Pod, we 2 in, y'all. I'd like to remind you to go to shenova.co/bosspod. All the artists' social media will be on there as well. This show is all about supporting artists and putting recognition and a little bit of light on these girls that are working their butts off and these bosses that are working so hard, because I think it's cool to get in their minds. I don't know, just as a person, as a creative person, I love hearing their story. So this is all about support. Be sure to go follow them and see what they're doing on their journeys, follow their journeys. After this is released on Instagram Live here, all the episodes are uploaded to YouTube and distributed as podcasts on all podcast outlets, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that good stuff. I'd also like to remind you, we're here on Instagram every Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. And if you'd like to support the podcast, visit my Patreon, patreon.com/Shenova. I love y'all. Thank you, everybody, for being here on Instagram right now. So I will see you guys next week. I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday. This is Nova signing off, episode 2 of Boss Pod. Conversations with creators, y'all. Today was great. I'm so happy. See you next time.